Mr. Mahendran himself to speak on the Indian gold market, evolution of reforms and the way forward. Sir has over 3 decades of distinct experience specializing in commodities with a particular focus on precious metals, minerals and banking. Please, sir.
Done? Yeah, good evening. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Sundaravali for having invited all of us here and keeping us engrossed this weekend. And for many of us here in the front bench, I think we've been talking about gold for decades, and day in and day out, we don't talk about anything else much than this. Sorry? Today is Sunday. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I'll come closer to you, then we'll listen. Okay, I mean, for many of us, as I said, we've been talking about gold for many months and decades. I think today we felt happy that our thought process resonated with what Mr. Gurumurthy said in terms of what we can do with gold. And I'm sure all the front benches will agree with what he said and what we've been talking about. Gold, when it comes to people in India, we always keep hearing about many things. It's something which we cannot describe quantitatively or qualitatively. It's an attachment with a commodity which does not have a particular bearing on the value of it. We always keep hearing about India being the second largest consuming gold in the world because of the yearning which we have towards gold. We talk about the stock holdings, 30,000 tons, and this 13,000 tons is actually unaccounted. When I say unaccounted, it's not the black money or anything, it's just that no one has done an exercise of accounting for it. So this 30,000 tons, maybe it could be more, it could be 50, it could be 60 or whatever it is. There are reasons for it. One is the attachment, one is the jewelry which has been manufactured in India. We have a lot of jewelry hubs across India, and this has been a part of the Indian society. The role gold plays in the world economy boasts its title as a safe haven in terms of need. The phenomenal growth, the topic for today was we were supposed to talk about the reforms and the way forward. So I'll quickly run through the reforms which we have done over the period of time, and then talk about more interestingly about what we can do about gold. Over the years, we've seen the gradual transition in the regulatory framework to undertake the bullion ecosystem. I mean, if you look at the glimpse of the transition which has taken, we started off with the issue of 15-year gold bonds at 6.5%, which was made in 1962. Followed by that, there were many measures which was made to control the gold in India, wherein we had forward trading in gold was banned in November 1962. I think some of this were also touched about with my previous speakers. Gradually, from being controlled, it went on to being decontrolled. We had the special import license, which was introduced, which ultimately became the norm for nominated banks bringing in gold into India along with nominated agencies. The government of India permitted nominated agencies like MMTC, HSC, etc. to sell, bring in gold and give it to people across the supply chain, manufacturing chain, be it jewelers, exporters, manufacturers and others. Gold has been regulated by way of importing the gold by actually bringing in to Dore gold can be imported, wherein the refiners are provided with license from the Directorate General of Foreign Trade to import gold for refining. The refining gold, which is basically primarily 995 and 999 gold bars and kg bars, can be brought by nominated agencies, banks, EOUs in special economic zones, and the bullion exchange, and can also be brought through advanced authorization from DGFT for export purposes. Developments which has happened is, the recent developments with regard to this particular trade is, which we talk about, is the India-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, where gold has been allowed to be imported into India at a concessional rate of duty. And similarly, we have gone into many trade agreements with Indos, ECTA, and various others which is there. And some of the schemes in terms of mobilization of gold by the government of India is the gold monetization scheme, gold GMS linked gold metal loan scheme, and the sovereign gold bond scheme. Okay, why is it gold is being considered as a safe haven? Gold investments derived due to the economic growth. Urbanization has been changing the shape of gold interest with more of purchasing power. A lot of people are trying to buy gold. Demand for light, right? In the particular context, though the price of gold has gone up and we have a lot of millennial crowd, the demand for lightweight jewelry is rising among the young population. So, somewhere or the other, the gold purchase is always there. Gold is an important asset class in rural India, accounts for more than 50%. We spoke about it. I mean, from web, almost about 70% of the purchases happens across India, more so in the rural areas. The ease of purchase and Indian wedding festivals, these are the occasions wherein people do try to buy more and more gold, and of course price is also a factor. When the price comes down, also people do buy that. The ecosystem of how the gold comes into India, we have this overseas suppliers who give it to the Indian banks, and we have this international traders also who supply gold to the banks, and we have refiners who are supplying it to the refiners here. The next thing is the international traders and the dowry suppliers. This is one way of supply, the first charters. The second one is the one who facilitates the supplies is the nominated banks and agencies, the bullion exchange and the refiners. The end users are of course the bullion traders, manufacturers and jewelry retailers. Okay. For the last 2 days, we've been talking about what can be done about gold and what needs to be done. And I would like to particularly draw emphasis to what our Honorable Prime Minister had said some time back, that India's identity should not be limited to just being a bullion market, but it should be recognized as a market maker. So, this was followed by Mr. Piyush Goyal, who also said we are a superpower, we need to have trade agreements and we need to dictate terms in terms of trade. And another thing is customs duty, which was given by the finance minister. The way forward, we are talking about what needs to be done. The way forward, we are talking about weaponization goals, and the government, Indian gold has to be protected. All along what's happening is, we talk about 800 tons of gold which keeps coming into India. And it's always been that we've been taking the price, and we have never tried to influence the price of gold as the second largest gold consuming country. Now, there are certain things which we need to do, which we've been talking about, like how do we make the gold which is there in India to move out of India. We talked about bullion banks trying to follow what has been happening in the overseas global banks. We get gold from various other banks. We need to try and adopt whatever the other banks are doing overseas in terms of buying the gold which is available in India and making it available to the international market. We're talking about creating a jewelry which is accepted across the world. We're not talking about, India is known for a lot of jewelry. We have this Coimbatore jewelry, we have Calcutta jewelry, we have jewelry from various other places. Jewelry as Indian jewelry, as heritage jewelry is not being marketed across. So, something which resonates with the whole culture of India as a brand which it gets sold, I think that's what which we need for the international crowd to pick up gold, not as an investment but as a jewelry piece. Then we talked about refinery. When we are talking about refineries, we talk about UAE being the hub now, almost about 160 to 200 tons of gold which is supposed to come into India. UAE is not a place where gold is available. They do a transformation of whatever is there, and that can be adopted here in India. And policies, we are talking about policies, we got different kind of policies, we got different type of ministries, we have various agencies which want us to go through in this particular industry. If one platform which is available to take care of all these things will do a lot of good for the future of our industry. And what I said was we have to move towards being a market maker in the sense that we should be able to sell our gold overseas, have a brand of gold which is available to be picked up by the international market. We've been always talking about Swiss brand bars. It's time that we have our own bar which moves out and it's accepted across. And these are some of the things which we thought we should be talking about going forward so that India becomes a true market maker instead of a price taker. I think I made it very brief and short. Mr. Prabhakar?
So thank you very much for helping us trace the timeline of this trajectory.